All right, so today we are working on something around the house. Something not fun in July weather in South Carolina. Maybe July weather anywhere when you're up in the attic. But here's what I got going on. I need to find out what motor is in there so that I can get online or do some calling around and seeing who's got that electric motor that I can use. So let's dive into this. So I'm gonna get these two panels off. These two are just kind of like kind of spring connected in there. So one kind of pushes up against the other. So I'm not gonna have to release any screws that I'm aware of, anything holding the panel on itself. So when you take these off, this cover over here, there's a dead man switch or a toggle switch on the other side of that panel. When you pull that off, it's going to kill power, shut everything down so people aren't sticking their hands in there with a blower and electrical stuff going on. To be safe, when you get into this, you need to go kill the power at the main breaker before you're getting into stuff in over here. All right, so I got the cover off. One of the things to keep in mind is when you take these covers off, because you have live electrical circuits over here, like very high voltage stuff, 115, potentially 220, they have a kill switch on this door here. So when I took this door off, when you take that panel off, this switch goes from being flat to popped out like it is, and that's a kill switch. It'll shut the unit down, and it'll shut the unit down. And so you also know, just because you put the panel on doesn't mean you're going to be starting right back up. There's usually a delay, 3 to 5 minutes. I've seen this or read as much as 5 minutes of time needed to wait before the unit will cycle back on. Just a safety feature. So now we got to get back up in here and see if we can get some motor information. I'm not encouraging anyone to do this. If you're not comfortable working around electrical stuff, high voltage stuff, which if you're not safe, you're not smart, you can hurt or kill yourself. So I'm not encouraging you in any way to dive into this. Bare minimum, this is at least good information to have, that you can have a good conversation with a service technician when he shows up, so you have the right questions to ask, and you can kind of get a sense if that little BS meter starts to go up. You know, they're talking about, oh, you know, high current reading of the blower fan, you need to replace your whole AC system, right? Should be a little flag going up on something like that. So when you're working on this minimum, don't just rely on the kill switch. Go to your main breaker and kill power to the whole unit so you've got nothing up here, okay? So what I'm shining a light on back there, that's your motor, okay? And that is connected to like what's called a little squirrel cage blower. Real simple piece of metal with little fins all around it. That's what moves the air through the evaporator coils, everything, all the stuff that's all housed up in here, right? Moves the air through the furnace section, in my case, and then down to the evap coils, which are down there. And that's what was frozen up yesterday on me. So what I want to do is I'm going to get information on that motor so that I can get either a direct replacement or as close a replacement as possible. All right, so I have that motor information now. I'm going to put this all back together again, get the AC back up and running while I do some research on where I can get a replacement motor. All right, so there is, you see over here is the original GE part number that came off the motor. GE motors are now been taken over or what have you by the Gentech. They do all the GE motor stuff. So I went back and forth between getting an alternate supplier, so many different, you know, $400 is still a chunk of money. But I really wanted something that was, for one, at least semi-highly rated. Some of the stuff I found on here that was like Climatech, and some others were like, you know, 3 stars with 1 rating. And I just didn't want to go that route. So this is what I went with. And then I also purchased, I don't know why they put 2 in here, but I just got the 1 5 microfarad capacitor, the run capacitor, since the technician when he was here said the one I had was reading 2.5 versus the 5. So it's not expensive, 10 bucks. Good idea to go ahead and replace that along with the motor. Got to wait a few days. It'll be the middle of next week, so I got about 5 or 6 days that I've got to wait on this. And so far, you know, about 410 bucks. And what I'm having to use to fix this, but that's a far cry from the 1,700 that I was quoted from the HVAC company. I get it. They've got markup on their parts. They've got a guy they got to pay, equipment, you know, all that kind of stuff. Fine. But I'm sorry, I just am not going to pay that much money to just put an electric motor on my blower. So I'll keep you posted on this. Obviously, when the part comes in, we'll step back into this video and go through the removal of the blower cage, the wiring, how to keep track of the wiring, and removing the old motor, putting the new motor in. There's some things you want to be aware of as you do that, but we're definitely going to take you along on that journey.